103.2 Preston FM.
Keeping it local.
Aspiring young politicians from across Lancashire have been rubbing shoulders with some of the country's leading parliamentarians. 6 members of the Youth Parliament joined 400 young people at Lancaster University to take part in the annual sitting, and the event brought together members of the UK Youth Parliament from across the country. They debated the big issues which will be placed on the UK YP manifesto for the next year. And one of the people who attended the event, I'm pleased to say, is in the studio, and that's Kelly Swaby. And Kelly is a young parliamentarian from Chorley. So a very good afternoon to you, Kelly.
Good morning, thank you for having me.
Lovely to meet you. Now, nice to meet you particularly because I know when I was probably your age, which is a long, long time ago, listeners would be surprised, but it was, politics very seldom entered, into the world that I existed in. And not that I wouldn't have wanted politics to have been part of my life then, but sadly, young people in those days were not listened to when it comes to politics, so it's really nice to know that there is a swell of young people who are taking an interest in politics. How did you get involved?
Well, I was on my high school a student council, and from that I got put on my district council, which was Chorley. And back in March we had our local district elections where we elected members to go on Lancashire Youth Council, and then you elect the Member of Youth Parliament, which is me. And we represent our districts on a national level. So I got on UK Youth Parliament through my district youth council, but there are a lot of different ways, and there's always a lot of different stories to every Member of Youth Parliament of how they became a Member of Youth Parliament.
And locally, do you meet as a group of young politicians?
Yeah, our district youth council meets every Wednesday, except from the summer holidays. And sometimes we do different events. Like this Saturday, we're doing a Smile Day in our town centre because there's something called Make Your Mark happening. And what we're trying to do is we get the most ballots that we can for UK Parliament. And what we do is we just go in the town centre, we have a chat with some of the local people in the town centre, and we ask them a question about a ballot sheet. And, Smile Days can be different things. In fact, one of the days we just went into the town centre and just smiled at people, because we were doing a campaign on positive thinking. So we do a lot of different things, but generally our meetings are every Wednesday.
And what kind of response do you get from the public?
They're quite shocked when they find out there are youth politicians in the country, because we're not very well known, and usually we just think, we have an MP, we don't have an MYP. But generally our response is good, that young people are making a difference within the communities all across the UK, not just England. So yeah, generally it's positive.
And what about meetings with local councillors in Chorley? Are you able to engage local councillors in some of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, quite a few times they actually come to us. I mean, we designed a booklet back in, I think it was April now, and it was called What's Out There, and it was a guide for young people about what goes on in the summer holidays, so events at our leisure centre, sport clubs, and they came to us to help design the front cover, because, we're young people, we know what young people like. And I've also met my local MP, Lindsay Hoyle, and we talked about youth centres and all different things about politics and young people.
And for young people like in Chorley who are members, or other young people that you talk to, what are some of the main issues these days facing young people?
The most common one for me that I hear is bus prices. And it's one that a lot of local youth councils across the country are campaigning on. But no, that's the most popular one, especially with going to college, because, in Chorley you either go to Runshaw or Cardinal Newman, and they both need buses, and they both want the prices lowered. But no, that's the most popular one that I hear. Another one is votes at 16. That's quite a common one, especially with the general election just around the corner. But them two are all the most popular ones.
And when we talk about bus prices, we're talking about that in regard to people going to work, going to college, apart from social occasions, I take it.
Yeah, again, the most common one is the college one. It's not very often do I hear, I want the bus price lowered so I can go out with my friends. That's not something I hear a lot. But bus prices, I hear that at least a couple of times every week, that they want the bus price lowering. And UK Parliament are trying to do something about it. Whether we succeed, we don't know, but we can just try.
And when it comes to votes for young people at 16, you and I were just talking off air. Yesterday, I had somebody in from Preston City Council, and we were talking about registration and people registering to vote. And we were told that at 16 years of age, you can register, but at the moment, you can't vote until you're 18. What response do you get when from adults or from councillors when you talk to them about being able to vote at 16? We know that in Scotland, young people are going to be able to vote in the referendum up there at 16 years of age. Why do you think the vote should be lowered to 16?
To be honest, I can argue both sides of the argument, and for adults, I know, especially my headmaster at school, because I asked him the question,
yes,
and he didn't even beat around the bush. He just said no, and his reason was that he said to me, 35-year-olds nowadays sometimes don't vote, they don't use their vote, or they're persuaded of who they vote for, and he said that's not how it should be done, and you can't argue with that because it's true for the most of the time. But votes at 16 for me, I think nowadays teenagers are a lot more mature than what adults think we are. We know a lot more about our surroundings than is thought of us. And I think votes at 16 for us, especially with Make Your Mark last year, we got nearly 500,000 votes. And votes at 16 was in the top 5, and there was 15 suggestions on that ballot sheet, and votes at 16 was the top 5. I think that shows that young people across the country do want votes at 16, and it just shows that if we are given the vote, we will take the vote. And we used it wisely last year.
And you would vote, I take it, if you could?
Yes, I would definitely vote if I could in next year's election.
Is that right? And to be a member of the Youth Parliament, I mean, do you have to have an allegiance to one of the main political parties? Are you, in a way, apolitical?
As UK Youth Parliament, we are not allowed to express any political party that we support. We are allowed to support a political party. You know, they make that very clear. We can have our own opinions, as long as we don't make it thought that UK Youth Parliament supports a political party. So, no, we're allowed our own political thoughts and allegiances, but we don't want UK Parliament to be seen as supporting a political party, especially so close to a general election, because it can be used against us.
And people who are members in Chorley, I take it, the young people there come from all different backgrounds and from all, different walks of life, etc., to make up the Youth Parliament in Chorley, the youth group.
Yeah, to put it mildly, there's a lot of different characters there, and I think that's what makes it so great, especially being on youth council. We do have new members every now and again, and they just bring something new to the group, because every once in a while we get too comfortable, and then somebody else walks through the door and says, we should do something about this, and it's something none of us even thought about, and that's what's so great about it, because everybody's different in that group, everybody thinks differently, and if we put all our heads together, we turn out with something great, a campaign which is great, and it helps our current campaign, which is mental health, for the community. We've all thought differently about the campaign, and we've brought all our ideas together, and we've got a campaign now that works and that will succeed in the future.
And where you are today from when you first joined, do you think differently about politics and politicians?
Well, I joined 3 years ago, and if I'm honest, I knew nothing about politics. And it's only in maybe the last year and a half that I've suddenly got to grips with politics, what politics is about, what it represents, and especially the political parties and their leaders. I'm very well equipped with the knowledge of the political parties, and you kind of have to be a member of Youth Parliament, because there's a lot of debating, and quite often political parties are mentioned with support of our campaigns, so you have to know what they support, what they don't support, and what their manifesto points are. So yeah, I've definitely grown knowledge-wise when it comes to politics, because like I said, I didn't know anything 3 years ago. I do now.
And as you were saying, when it comes to issues, over last year, over 478,000 young people voted on the UK Youth Parliament campaigns, and the target this year is to get over 1 million ballots completed across the UK, which is quite something, isn't it? And the more people you get, the more young people they have got to be listened to and take notice of.
It's certainly a steep target, but as we said at the annual sitting, it's not one which we can't achieve. You know, I mean, they showed us the figures for every year for Make Your Mark, and in 2009 we got 726 votes. 4 years later, we got over 478,000. And for me, that shows that we can still succeed. And of course, Lancashire being Lancashire, our target for the county is 60,000, meaning every member of Youth Parliament in the county has to get 5,000 to meet that target. And ours is the biggest for the county within the country. So that's just Lancashire for you.
And a couple of weeks ago, you were up in Lancaster University taking part in the annual sitting of the UK Youth Parliament, where I think over 400 young people attended. Must have been, was it over a weekend? I think it was, wasn't it?
It was over a weekend, yes.
And some of the politicians that you met up there, I think there were some keynote speakers that came along. Who were some of the speakers you had?
The first speaker we had, he was an inspirational speaker, and he was called Kamal, and he was absolutely incredible. But we had Maggie Atkins, the Children's Commissioner.
Yes, I've interviewed Maggie.
I'm a big fan of Maggie.
So am I.
And my personal favourite of the weekend was John Bercow. I'm a big fan of John Bercow, and to be honest, I felt like a 5-year-old who just found the cookie jar, because I sat front row at his speech, and it was absolutely incredible. And I've got it all videoed on my phone, so every now and again I just watch it back. But no, it was incredible, and the keynote speakers, you know, they were there to inspire us, and that's exactly what they did. And we went away from the annual sitting thinking we can reach 1 million. Of course, as the annual sitting is further away from us, we're starting to doubt that. But no, they inspired us to aim high, and if we achieve it, it's great. If we don't achieve it, we've still achieved an awful lot anyway.
And the feeling was that they were there definitely to listen to the young people and to take account of the things that they were hearing from yourselves.
Of course, for John Bercow, there was a lot of questions about the cabinet reshuffle.
Yes.
And it was good to watch a politician really have to think about the answer. And it was good that he didn't patronise us. He didn't give us the answer that everybody wants to hear. He gave us the honest answer. And when it came to Maggie Atkins, of course, our North West regional campaign, as well as my own in Chorley's, is mental health. And we asked her an awful lot about the mental health, what she could offer us, what help she could give us. And she was a very nice lady, and she's given us a lot of help with the campaign. And Kamal, who I mentioned before, he was just incredible. He all inspired us to aim high. That was his motto, aim a little higher. And since then, whenever we go to County Hall, that's what we've just been saying. So, no, it was incredible.
And because of all this, I take it that you now are at a point where you realise then, Kelly, that you can make a difference, that lots of young people together can make a difference.
I went on a young leaders course last week, and I think the best thing that anyone could have said to me out of this whole experience of being in UK Youth Parliament was that somebody wrote on a piece of paper with my name. We ought to go around and write positive comments, and somebody wrote on mine that I'm making a positive mark, because I drum on constantly about Make Your Mark to all of the people at Youth Council, and they wrote that I'm making a positive mark. And for me, that was an amazing comment, and to know that it is being recognised is incredible. And I think every member of Youth Parliament in the country is making a positive mark right now, because we are all inspiring other people to get involved in something which is meant for adults, but we're doing it anyway.
And has this given you a thirst for politics in the future? I mean, you're still at school, I take it?
I'm in high school, yeah.
In high school. Is this now giving you a thirst for politics?
For me, I've never been interested in pursuing politics when I leave university. I would certainly keep in touch with politics, stay up to date with the policies that each political party is offering. But for me, no, I don't ever want to go into politics. I just want to make politics fun for the youth right now, because, you hear constantly from young people that politics is boring, that it's outdated. But for me, it's not boring if you make it fun. And I'm trying to make politics fun for other people to think, maybe it is. Maybe I should go into politics. And right now, that's one of my main aims as a member of Youth Parliament, because it isn't boring. I'm trying to make it as fun for me as possible, because if not, it becomes mind-numbing. And for a lot of young people, they are starting to recognise, because of me, that politics can be enjoyable if you make it enjoyable.
Well, you've certainly not made it boring in this interview. I found it fascinating. Out of all the campaigns then that are going on, at the moment by the UK Youth Parliament, which is the one that you'd like to see come to fruition first?
Well, we have two national campaigns at the moment. We have Votes for 16 and we have one called Curriculum for Life. And to be honest, I would like Curriculum for Life to succeed a lot because it's all about making PHSE, so government and politics, SRE, mandatory on the national curriculum. And for me, it's so important that young people leave high school knowing all they need to know about the world, outside of high school. Because once you leave high school, everything that you do is for yourself. You have to do it for yourself. You don't get given it. Nothing's sugar-coated outside of high school. And for me, it is important that young people do leave high school with all that knowledge that they need to. And I think before we pass Votes to 16, we need the knowledge there as well. So out of all of them, Curriculum for Life is definitely my personal favourite. I am in support of Votes to 16. I do want it to succeed a lot. But for me, Curriculum for Life it's almost a baby of mine. It's my personal favourite.
Lovely. Well, I'm sure you have fired up some young people listening to this programme to want to find out more or maybe get involved. Where is the best place for people to go to find out more about the Youth Parliament and young parliamentarians?
You can go on Lancashire Youth Council's website, or for anybody else's county youth council, just search theirs in and it'll come up. But I think the best place to go is your district youth council. Find out when the meetings are, maybe go to one of them, and I think you will be impressed because they're not like meetings, they're more like social occasions where we do work. But no, your district youth council is definitely the best place to go. And right now, because of Make Your Mark, there's a lot going on, and you get to see what it's really like when we're busy, when we're hard at work, because this is the most important time of the year for us, because a lot of things are going on. So no, go down to your district youth council, that's the best place, and have a chat with your local member of youth parliament, and have a chat with people at your local district youth council, and I promise they're all friendly.
Lovely.
Some of them are.
And who knows, because I think Youth Parliament, is it an annual event, the one at, they're held at different universities across this country, aren't they?
They hold it at different universities across the country, and it's every year at the start of the summer holidays.
Okay. Kelly, can I thank you for coming in this afternoon? It's been lovely meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Made by people like you.
Your community.
Your radio.
Your Preston FM.